Hola, hola, my name is Melon, cosmetic formulator and Fenty fanatic, and today I have a brand new Fenty Beauty launch. We have the Bright Fix Eye Brightener Concealers. Pretty much the concealer sister to the Fenty EAZE Drop Skin Tints. Super excited for these. I'm getting very minimalistic, very Glossier vibes with this. Just use your hands, apply them, you're out the door. Because these are intended to be a more sheer concealer, they're meant to like hydrate, blur, and give you really nice brightening coverage on your under eye. There is fewer shades to choose from, and so based off my 290 foundation shade in the Pro Filt'r line, as well as my shade 10 in the EAZE Drop Skin Tint, I have 3 colors in front of me. I have specifically number 7, 8, and 9, Deep Butter, Deep Melon, and Peach. I'm going to be showing you how these apply, how these wear with the EAZE drops, and I'm going to give you a full day wear test. But do note, this is a 1-day first impression. I will be giving you a 1-week follow-up to tell you what my thoughts are on this and how I think it works with all the other Fenty Beauty products. So make sure you hit the subscribe button to know when that goes live. But let's get into it. Okay, so now I have you guys scooted up close. We are zoomed in. Before I get into the application, I want to explain the colors I chose and why I chose them. These are intended to be eye color correctors, under eye brighteners, but basically by putting in as minimal effort as possible. Ideally, I chose ones that would work for my under eye to help correct some darkness and then help to brighten those up. I tried to get a shade that was closer to my skin tone to see if that could work for blemishes, but we'll see about that. This right here is going to be the Fenty Pro Concealer in 270, and this is the Matchstick in the shade Honey. These are shades that I normally use to correct darkness on my under eyes or like hyperpigmentation, and so those are right next to the shades Deep Melon and Peach. It's numbers 8 and 9 in the Bright Fix right here. 8, 9. And then I wanted to get a shade that would be able to conceal any blemishes after I had a base product down. So here I have the EAZE Drop Skin Tint in the shade 10. I know this looks really dark on my arm, but my arm is a lot lighter than my face. And then this is a shade I thought would match my skin tone. This is number 7, Deep Butter. Is very off. We'll see what it looks like on the skin, but realistically it wasn't easy and I'm not the most optimistic with Deep Butter for my skin tone. I'm gonna be real. So for application today, I did full Fenty skin prep. I did the cleanser, the fat water, and the HYDRA visor, and then I also primed using the soft matte primer only on this side of my face just to see if that affects any longevity, creasing, whatnot. These are again intended to be sheer to buildable coverage, hydrating but blurring, and I'm primarily going to use them on my under eye only. I will see how butter works on my skin, but I will also be going in with a layer of the EAZE Drop in the shade 10 afterwards, so we'll see. So to kind of play around with which corrector I prefer most, I'm going to be going in with both of the peachier shades. Again, that's Peach and that's Deep Melon. This is what the packaging looks like. It's super petite, really cute little squeezy tube. You have a little ball applicator at the ends. So this is the shade Peach. Oh, it's actually really cute. Very skin-like, nicely hydrating texture. I get like a really deep purple like spot right here in the very, very inner third of my eye. And I did a really nice job to like neutralize that in like a very like subtle way where you can still kind of see it, but it doesn't look like I have makeup on, but it still looks like it's taken care of. We just go with a little bit more. I'm just gonna controlled application is definitely key. It's a little bit too much. This is again Peach, which I think is a little bit darker. This reminds me more of what I guess Honey would look like, but you saw the swatches. Is that darkness taken care of? Yes. Did I get it everywhere else that it didn't need to be? Yes. With these kind of color correctors, you really need to target it where you want that coverage and you want that correction, because if not, it looks like you just put orange all over your face. Let's see if Deep Melon gives me a little bit more of a low-key color correction on my other side. Again, back of my hand, little dollop. And for comparison, you get very different shades from those. This looks a lot more like 270 in the Pro Filt'r concealer for sure. Realistically, I actually would want to mix these together and kind of use the deeper one to neutralize that purple down and then use the brighter one to kind of brighten it up and get a nicer in between as opposed to really orange, stark bright, but they're cute. What I really like the most is just the texture. It really gives me nicely hydrated under eye, not dry at all. It's cute. Now let me get the EAZE Drop in shade 10 all over my face, play around with that, and then we'll see what Deep Butter looks like as a spot corrector, because as you can see, I got a little stuff going on right over here. And so here we are with shade 10 in the EAZE Drop Skin Tint applied all over my face. You can see that number 9 Peach looks a little bit more subdued now. It's not so orange. I think that actually blends in more nice. But if realistically you want a more bright under eye, you really want that pop, number 8 Deep Melon is a better option. But realistically, I actually might want to mix the two together. But right now I actually want to see how Deep Butter, number 7, looks as a spot concealer, just because I do have a little bit more of a blemish and it did not look promising coming out of the tube, but we will see. I'm gonna take a little dollop of that. That is a big no. Yeah, that's a no. That's a big no. You gonna fix that right now. Please give me a second. Okay, so that's a no to that specific shade. Deep Butter is not the right tone for number 10. And that's a testament to it was really hard to figure out what shades were gonna work with which specific Pro Filt'r foundation shades, because I don't think Fenty did a really good job helping with that this time around. And realistically, even with the EAZE drop, I had a little bit of issue figuring out because the shade they said would work with 290 didn't work with 290. Let me see if I can get a little bit more of an even under eye situation by putting a little bit more of number 8 Deep Melon, just because right now it's not equal, they're not balanced. I really love this texture right off the bat. It is really nice. I know some people had issues with the Pro Filt'r concealer being a little bit too matte. This gives me very soft, very nicely brightened, but also very nicely moisturized under eyes. I also do have the whole Fenty skin setup on, so that's also helping. But okay, so I evened out the under eyes, a little bit more of number 8 and number 9 on the opposite sides just to balance it out. Realistically, I think going off my first impression, that is what I'm liking the best. A little bit of a mix of both. Number 9 to nicely color correct and really balance out that discoloration, and then number 8 Deep Melon to help brighten it up in a little bit more of a natural way. I wish there was an in between, but as you can see on my hand, there's a big disparity between those two. And because we don't tempt fate, I'm going to set my under eyes, because realistically what I'm testing in this wear test is it going to crease? Is it going to last? What is it going to look like at the end of an 8-hour wear day? Also, I'm really putting these to the work today because I did pull an all-nighter to go get these. So we have some dark under eyes, we got some tired skin today, and this is just the Fenty Pro Filt'r setting powder in the shade Banana. So it's currently 10 a.m. I'm gonna check in 8 hours, give you my final thoughts for the day, what I think about how this wore, how it is. But first impression thoughts, love the texture, love the look, applies really nicely with the fingers, I will give it that. I wish there was an in-between between number 8 and number 9. See you in 8 hours with the final wrap up and my final thoughts. Hey guys, so here we are, actually after 7 hours. I decided to do this a little bit early just because if not, it would have been much later in the day. And my thoughts on the Bright Fix Concealer at the end of the day. First and foremost, what I will say is that my under eyes don't look very dry. At this point in the day, while I do have very oily skin, I have like really dry under eyes. Therefore, I tend to get fine lines in this part of my cheek under eye area just because I feel like that's the dryness showing through. And I'm not getting that, it actually looks very smooth still. I have a canyon underneath this one eye and product always collects in. I didn't notice that happening for the first like 3-4 hours. It's doing it a little bit now, but I only noticed it when I look down and that crease is like exposed. Looking up normally, I don't see it at all. I feel like my dark circles are a little bit more pronounced now. I did just wake up from a nap, a very intense nap. So that might be the reason why. But when I took video earlier, like fresh application, this looked really good. So overall, really into it. Also worth noting, I put a little bit on my eyelids. Those aren't creasy. What my thoughts are on the texture and wear of this. Again, you heard my stuff about the shades. I want an in between, so I will be mixing 8 and 9 together. It is super thin. This really is the concealer equivalent of the EAZE drop. So I think because you don't have such a thick layer of pigment and product on your under eye, it is actually a very elegant texture. It looks and feels weightless. There's nothing on the skin, and therefore I feel like that itself inhibits a lot of texture issues. It's not the most pigment payoff, but I think if you go in, again, it is buildable. My other thing is, don't particularly love this kind of packaging. The tip of this is already kind of messy right now, which is not my favorite thing necessarily when makeup starts to get messy really quickly. Also, in terms of having had the soft matte primer and not having had it, I don't see much of a difference, so do note that. I don't think it does a lot in terms of affecting the coverage and wear of it. Stay tuned, do subscribe. In a week, I will be doing a follow-up impression. I will be testing this with a few other variables, a few different products from the Fenty Beauty line. But thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and Fenty related content on my channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.